what's up you guys? My name is Liz. If you don't know me, I'm a postgrad student at the University of Glasgow, and today I'm just here to fill you in a little bit on all of the ways, or some of the ways anyway, that attending a university in the UK differs from attending a university in the US. Because I've done both now, and they're very different experiences. So for any American high school or uni students looking to come to the UK for their next degree, these are just a few of the things that you can expect to be a little bit different from your experience back home. Now, I will say before I get into it that attending a master's program in any country is going to differ wildly from attending an undergraduate program. The things that I am talking about in today's video are kind of across the board differences. They're going to apply whether you are attending an undergrad or a graduate program. The first is going to be the time that it takes to finish your degree. Back in the US, a bachelor's degree is going to take 4 years minimum, although at this point I think we're creeping up on 5 as the norm, which is terrifying considering how much uni costs. A master's or postgrad degree will be about 2 years, and then a PhD will be 5 to 7. But here in the UK, everything happens a lot faster. Bachelor's degrees are finished in 3 years, unless you do an honors year, in which case it will be 4 years. Most postgrad courses like mine are 1 year, and PhDs vary depending on the subject, the school, the depth of research, as well as the number of hours that a student can commit. You know, whether they're going part-time enrollment or full-time, but generally speaking, it's going to take 3 to 4 years as the standard for a PhD. And I know for undergrad at least, a big part of the reason that it moves so much faster is because you're not spending your whole first year on general education courses. But when it comes to master's and PhD programs, a lot of it is to do with the amount of initiative that a student has to take in order to actually complete the degree, which is something that I am going to come back to. But the second difference that I want to talk about is choosing your degree. So in the US, unless you are enrolling in some sort of dual degree program, so you'd be enrolling for a bachelor's and a master's degree, unless you're doing something like that, you don't have to choose your program straight away. You have a little bit of time to test the waters, take your gen eds, figure out what you want to do, and only at the end of year 2 do you really have to commit to a specific track. Here, things are a little bit different. Choosing a bachelor's degree is very similar to choosing a master's degree in that you have to apply to a specific school. Not necessarily a specific program, but you do have to apply to a specific school. So here at Glasgow Uni, we have the College of Arts, College of Humanities, College of Engineering. You get the picture. You apply to a specific college and then you niche down your degree from there. Of course, with master's programs, you are applying to a specific program within the college. So when I submitted my application to Glasgow Uni, I wasn't just applying to the School of Humanities, I was applying to the Information Management and It's a long name for a degree. The Information Management and Preservation Program. So if you're looking to come to the UK for a bachelor's degree, just make sure you know kind of what you want to do and the school that you want to apply to before you make your applications, because undeclared, not really a thing here, which is why it goes so much faster. You have no gen eds. Now for big difference number 3, I am going to circle back to what I was saying about the onus of your degree being on you, because the lecture and homework and schoolwork structure is very different here from how it was when I was doing my undergrad in the States. So back in the States, you can expect each of your classes to meet 2 to 3 times a week for 60 to 90 minutes at a time. Throughout the semester, there will be homework, exams, weekly and bi-weekly or even monthly assignments. And those are a crucial part of the syllabus. Each section of the syllabus gets broken down into a percentage of your grade. There's a much bigger focus on independent study here. They're not going to hold your hand through it. If you need help from a professor, you're going to have to seek it out. Basically everything that your high school teachers told you about college professors, you know, your professors in college won't stand for this kind of behavior and they will not accept late assignments and blah, 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 blah. Kind of more true here. Typically, lectures will take place once a week instead of 2 or 3 times. They'll last for about 2 hours. And the assessments are few and far between. Here at Glasgow Uni, depending on the level of degree you're completing, you'll have to write a certain number of words per class. So for example, I'm in a level 5 degree, so I have to write 5,000 words per course. And that can get broken down into as many or as few assignments as the professor chooses. So I've had professors that give us 3 assignments at, 1,500 words apiece-ish. This semester I have a professor who has given us 1 assignment. 5,000 words, just go. But you really have to be on top of your game if you want to do well. These professors are aware that they are teaching adults and they expect you to act like it. That being said, there are plenty of resources at your disposal to help you succeed and excel in your degree. A large part of those resources being the teaching staff themselves, because yes, they're teaching adults, but you're also a student. You're not expected to know everything, and they're here to help you. Which brings me to my absolute favorite difference between the US and the UK for uni, which is tutorial. In the US, when you say you're meeting with a tutor, it generally means you're struggling in a class and you need extra help outside of that class from another student or a member of teaching staff who has more expertise in that subject and is going to help you, bring your GPA up, essentially. That's not what tutors are here, and I so prefer tutors here. Here in the UK, everyone has a tutor, and a tutor is a member of teaching staff who works closely with a specific student or group of students to just kind of help you through the semester. They act as a point of reference for any questions, concerns, exciting new projects that might arise. So in my program here, we've been divided into groups of 8 or 9, and we meet with our tutor every 2 weeks. It really provides a sense of community within the program, further than just being in this program, that I felt was really lacking from my undergrad experience in the US. And it is by far my favorite difference between the two. I absolutely adore my tutor group. And the 5th and probably the biggest difference that I'm going to talk about today is grading. And this is a tough one. So back in the US, if you were that person, I was that person, you could basically calculate out the grade you needed on your final exam in any given class in order to achieve the GPA out of 4.0 that you wanted for that class for the semester. I did that. I was that person. I'm still that person, to be honest. But here, because your grade hinges on just a couple of assignments, you are not going to be able to figure that out. You're not even going to get those grades back until the semester's over, basically. And at Glasgow Uni, things differ even further. Like, even my Scottish friends can't figure out their grading system. Glasgow Uni has their own unique grading system, and no one knows what it means, which does make me feel marginally better about it. What can I say? I'm a Capricorn with a Virgo moon. Neuroses is my middle name. But the biggest difference though, and the thing that's going to, I think, stress out the most Americans is the way that your grade percentage matches up with your letter grade. So for example, in the States, the highest grade you could get was a 4.0, and that's an A+, and that is a 100% you did this right kind of grade. 100% means 4.0 means A. Here in the UK, you can get an A with a 70%, which to me feels like a C grade. I see 70% and I panic because I'm thinking, I nearly failed this assignment, which is not the case. You did not nearly fail this assignment. 70% is a really good grade here. And that's not to say that it's easier to get an A here than it is in the US, because it's not. You still have to work very hard to get those high A grades. It's just that here they don't actually give out 100% grades, and I like to think that that's because there is always room for improvement. And no one is expecting you to be perfect. No one is expecting your assignments to be perfect. You can still have an excellent piece of work without it being perfect. And now that I'm talking about it and trying to make you feel better about it, I'm making myself feel better about it, so cheers. Damn! I feel so much better. I feel so much better about getting a 75. Anyway, those are the 5 main differences between attending uni in the US versus the UK. These differences, as I said, are as across the board as I think anything could possibly be between undergrad, postgrad, and PhD level studies. So if you're coming from the US to study in the UK and you're worried about how the experience is going to differ, my best advice would be try not to. It's an amazing experience regardless of the differences. And sometimes even because of those differences. Like I said, I love my tutor group. I adore them. And I adore that this whole system exists and that I don't have to feel a stigma about saying I'm meeting with my tutor. Anyway, I hope you have found this video informative, helpful, maybe reduced a little bit of stress, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Bye!